It is conference tournament time in college basketball. SDFC returns to San Diego, and the NFL free agency has been wild. We break it all down coming up on CBS 8 Plus on the final quarter.
The final quarter begins right now.
As I do every week, I bring you the two smartest people I know in all of the world of sports to break down the stuff everyone else is talking about here in San Diego.
Wow.
The entire world. That's how much I think of you two.
And the only person that's given me that in my life.
Yeah,
you only need one.
You're easily pleased, Jake. I like that.
I'm going to leave that one alone. We must begin with conference tournament time. That is where we find college basketball. Who will punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament? Who will get snubbed? And who will leave the questions out of it by just going ahead and winning their conference tournaments? Of course, we have two teams with a really good shot to make the NCAA tournament between the Tritons and the Aztecs. Let's begin with San Diego State. They start with having to beat a team in Boise State 3 times opening up their conference tournament. And fellas, this has huge implications. A lot of bracketologists have both of these teams as the last 4 in or very close to the bubble. Your thoughts, either one of you starting on the Boise State-San Diego State matchup?
Karthik, you want to take the lead? Or?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be, for San Diego State, you know what they always say. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in a season. And if you're Boise State, you got to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder coming into this thing. You were picked to win the conference. You were picked to run this thing. And now you're the 5 seed rolling into the Mountain West Conference. And you're on the bubble on the outside looking in, trying to get in probably. That's got to be tough, and that's got to probably put a chip on their shoulder. It's going to be a tough one for the Aztecs, and both those teams are going to really want it, obviously, because the Aztecs cannot be feeling comfortable if they were to lose that game against the Broncos. They're going to be sweating it out on Selection Sunday if that is the case. So, they're going to want to get the deal done and, potentially beat New Mexico as well to really solidify a spot for San Diego State in the NCAA tournament.
And that's really the question I want to pose to you, John. I'll let you add what you want about the game. But if the Aztecs lose this game to Boise State, I don't want to put that out there in the ether, but if it does happen.
You just did.
do they still make the tournament?
I think they go from one of the last 4 in to maybe the first 4 out, and then they're on the outside looking in if they lose the Thursday game to Boise State. Now, the question is, will the selection committee look at history, what they've done? They were in the national championship game 2 seasons ago, and though that roster is totally different, Brian Dutcher has a way of taking rosters and developing them to be playing their best basketball this time of year. I would certainly hope they might get a little bit of leaning that way to come in. I think if the Aztecs knock off Boise State, they definitely get in. Whether or not they're going to be that 11 seed that has to play a play-in game, we'll see. But Boise State, it's a must-win Thursday for them to get an at-large berth. So there'll be one motivated team. It's going to be a dogfight. The two teams know each other very well. Should be a very entertaining ball game. And then I'll kind of flip the coin and say on the really positive side, if the Aztecs go on and win the Mountain West Conference tournament, obviously they're in. They could maybe get all the way up to a 9. I mean, it's a 9-10 situation. That could be really good for them. But I think to your point, John, if the Aztecs win against Boise State on Thursday, I think they're in. I think that takes care of business. If they lose, I have some serious questions about what will happen with the Aztecs. So a massive matchup coming up on Thursday for that between Boise State and San Diego State. Your guys' thoughts on the Mountain West Conference tournament as a whole, kind of your predictions as this thing gets tipped off.
I think it's really up in the air. I think anyone can honestly win it. We've seen 5 teams probably at the top that could beat any of them on any given day between New Mexico, Utah State, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State. I think all those teams are very capable of winning the Mountain West Conference tournament. And one other note to the bubble and everything that goes on with that. If Boise State were to beat San Diego State, and then let's say they were able to beat a New Mexico team and then make it to the conference title game, if a Boise State got in over San Diego State, even though San Diego State beat them 2 times in the regular season, both in their own dojo and on the road, I would have a hard time feeling that. But I also look at the teams that are in those first 4 out in a lot of the bracketology, and their resumes are not super impressive. Like a North Carolina, for example. I'd be really interested to see if you were to even compare San Diego State to North Carolina, if North Carolina were to make it to their conference tournament championship game and lose, don't get the automatic qualifier. I still think San Diego State probably has a better resume resume than North Carolina all in all. So those are interesting things to look at if San Diego State were to still lose to Boise State. What we're looking at, Mountain West Conference tournament as a whole, up for grabs. I have no idea who's going to win it.
Well, I think Boise State, something we don't want to happen is Boise State to win the conference tournament, because that's going to steal a bid, because New Mexico will definitely get an at-large bid, and Utah State likely getting an at-large bid. So if Boise State, Colorado State goes on to win this conference tournament, that could be taking the spot in the tournament roster brackets of San Diego State. So I really want to see the Aztecs win this tournament, but if they don't, love to see New Mexico get the victory there so that the number of bids stay as large as possible. I really think it's going to be New Mexico or Utah State winning this conference tournament. The Aztecs lost twice to Utah State. The Aggies, a tough nut to crack. The one thing the Aztecs do have going for them, a lot of success playing in Las Vegas at the Thomas and Mack Center. And it's the home away from home for San Diego State. Large fan base traveling across the desert, despite the rain, to cheer on the men from Montezuma.
Viejas East, as we like to call the Thomas and Mack Center. And look, the committee has shown the Mountain West a lot of love. I mean, it's not like they've snubbed the Mountain West over the years. There's been 4 or 5 teams in.
6 teams
from the Mountain West, 6 teams in before from the Mountain West. So it's not like the committee doesn't trust this conference. Now, maybe they shouldn't, because nobody else but San Diego State has really won in the NCAA tournament from the Mountain West. But they are willing to give multiple bids to this conference, so hopefully that does play in the Aztecs' favor. A conference I'm not so sure that the committee is willing to give multiple bids to would be the Big West, where the UCSD Tritons play. A lot of pressure on the Tritons, in my opinion, going into this tournament to win it. I just don't see the committee giving out 2 Big West bids. Your guys' thoughts, am I wrong there?
I think the way I have finally settled this in my mind, it's a 2-team conference if UC San Diego does not win the conference tournament. I think UC San Diego has a strong enough resume to get an at-large berth. So if the UC Irvine or some other school wins the conference tournament, I think the Tritons are an at-large team. If the Tritons go on to win the conference tournament, I don't think it's a 2-tournament conference. I think UCI or whichever other team would lose in the final would not be going. So 2-team conference if the Tritons do not win the conference tournament. It's a 1-team conference if the Tritons win it.
I think you're being positive. I think you're being positive.
The way that I've shook it out in my mind is, damned if they do, damned if they don't. Put UC San Diego in the tournament, as long as they don't lose into the semis to like a CSUN or something like that. UC San Diego has been so good all year. I know the selection committee is not going to pick them and put them into the NCAA tournament field if they were to lose their conference championship game. I already know it. This is kind of like what we saw with VCU last year. Had a great NET, didn't get in as an at-large. I don't think they won their conference tournament, obviously, because they didn't make it to the NCAA tournament. So, I could see UC San Diego being in that kind of boat. Do I agree with it? No, I don't agree with it, because UC San Diego's been so good, and one loss and a recency bias shouldn't keep them excluded out of the big dance. That would be insane. We're seeing a team that so many people are considering being so close to the top 25, and if you were to say because they lost one game at neutral floor in their championship game of their conference tournament, you're not going to put them in? What kind of logic is that? That would be hosiery at its finest, and I do not want to see it. What UC San Diego needs to just do, though, is just win their conference tournament, put it all to bed, because I'm going to pull my hair out on Selection Sunday if they were not to win and they get left out.
It is broken logic. I don't like the conference tournament as a whole. You go win outright your conference in the regular season, to me, you should be in, but that's a bigger conversation for a later date. A team that's already taken care of business, how about the San Diego State women's Aztec basketball team? They win their conference tournament as a 4 seed along the way. They upset the 3-time reigning conference champs and #1 UNLV. And the women Aztecs, who I can say strongly, this was the only way they got into the NCAA tournament, even though they had won 20 regular season games this year, win the conference tournament. They are dancing, fellas.
Yeah, you got to love this. And they knocked off Wyoming. A triple overtime thriller.
Whew.
And they had lost to Wyoming twice during the regular season. So they really got they really overcame the hurdles that they couldn't get over previously in the season. And can't wait to see what they'll do as the postseason continues. But love it that one San Diego team is already into the NCAAs.
Just beautiful. I mean, the first time, I believe, in 13 years they've won their conference tournament, making it to the NCAA tournament as an automatic qualifier. And what a season it has been for them. They started 8-0 at the beginning of the year, the first time they'd done that since like the 1988-1989 season. This has just been a great season for the Aztecs all in all on the women's basketball side of just accomplishing so much. Now they get to go play in the NCAA tournament, and you can't say enough about the performances on the court in that game. Veronica Sheffy, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Callie Clark had like 12 points, 17 rebounds, 6 steals, 3 blocks or something. It was insane, the stat lines those ladies put up to help their team make it to the NCAA tournament. Just impressive stuff, man, and we love to see it.
And the San Diego native and freshman Naomi Ponganiban had been doing huge things throughout the conference tournament for the women's Aztecs basketball team. So huge congrats to them. Looking forward to see what they can do in the NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, let's move on to football, soccer, if you will. San Diego FC coming back home here to San Diego to play at Snapdragon Stadium this weekend against the Columbus Crew. Guys, they gave up their first goal in the history of their franchise. All they did to answer, score 3 straight and take down Real Salt Lake. What a game that was. Let's start with the performance from last weekend, and then let's talk about the Columbus Crew. But how about that, right? We were waiting to see this team face some adversity, and maybe they faced a little in that 0-0 draw here at home in Snapdragon Stadium in their inaugural match in San Diego. But this was true controversy, not controversy, but true adversity that they fell behind 1 goal and then they scored 3 straight. Pretty impressive stuff, guys.
It was really good stuff. In clutch time, I mean, that's when you want it, right? I mean, Mike Ivaris even said after the game, you know, we're a team that didn't want to just settle for 1-1. We preach to this team, you got to finish and you got the win. Some teams will just be like, hey, we're in stoppage time and this game's tied 1-1. Let's just take the draw, get our point, and leave. San Diego FC said, no, sir, we're going to grab our 3 points on the road, upset you in shocking fashion, and then we're going to leave. And that's exactly what they did. And what can you say other than voila from Anders Dreyer? What a beast he's been through the first 3 games. 3 goals in 3 games, and the clutch one right there, and, you know, some clutch ones in the opener against the LA Galaxy. That guy is that dude, man, and they're playing so good, and that was just really impressive for them to steal it like that in the waiting moments.
Yeah, they have very quickly become a team worth tuning in for.
Yep.
I remember the first match, you know, the final 20 minutes of the match when they finally took the lead, or it was tied, they went up 1-0. Wondering, are we going to protect that lead for 20 minutes? And just captivating stuff. And then to score two goals in added time in Salt Lake was just phenomenal. And the home opener, a draw is a bit of a bummer. The players saying they were pissed that it was a draw because they dominated time of possession. It'll be very interesting to see what happens Saturday night against the Columbus Crew coming in.
Yeah, and Columbus is a good squad. They're also undefeated, holding the same exact record, 2-0-1 record that San Diego FC has. Now, the last time San Diego was home, there was a bit of controversy. That's why that word was in my head, by the way. There was a bit of controversy here in San Diego. Today at their media session, CEO Tom Penn did address what it would be like the second time around at Snapdragon Stadium.
Prior to the chanting even starting, we're being explicit and clear about our expectations and our position as a club. You know, we didn't do that before the first match, right? So we're very clear in terms of stating not here. Aquí no is basically our idea, that we want everybody to bring their energy and their passion, but there's no place for the goal kick chant that is so controversial and so divisive. You know, we want to be a club that unifies everyone and brings together this whole community. And our basic message is that's not us and not here.
You know, I really appreciate what the San Diego Football Club is doing here, and it's reminding me a lot of what the San Diego Loyal did during their short term. They are a community organization. They want to unify the community, and what they are doing with this right now is they are nipping it in the bud. These, you know, hooligans, if you will, come in here and start the chant. You know, the homophobic chant that's been going on for nearly a decade, if not more than a decade, primarily from Mexico fans, you know, pointed toward the opposing goalkeeper. They don't want to accept it, and it's not acceptable. And I was at that press conference today with Tom Penn as he talked about this. They're going to be putting signage up around the stadium. They're going to put a flyer in every cup holder, and then prior to the game, Penn and 3 other people connected with the organization are going to talk to the arena pregame on the public address to talk about what is acceptable, what isn't, and what they are trying to create here in San Diego. My hat is off to SDFC and the steps they're taking to make this truly a family environment to go and watch a soccer match.
Yeah, obviously inclusivity is huge, and they took a stand. That was the opening statement from Mikey Varas. As soon as that game was over at home, he came out and spoke in Spanish and addressed those homophobic chants, and then once again stated in English. And he was very, very stern when he said this is not acceptable, and if you're going to keep doing it, don't show up to the games. And that's the serious tone this club has been taking towards this. Obviously, those affected by it must be very appreciative of the fact that they're taking the stance, because that really says, we are a team for you, and we are here to serve you in this community, and we're here to not only entertain you, but be there for you, and I like that.
Sometimes I get frustrated in the, we're around the sports world. I get frustrated sometimes in the sports world because certain people use it as a vessel to be able to talk or act the way they want because it's around sports. And it makes no sense to me. Just because you root for a certain team, you can talk about this way about another person, or you can say this to another person because they root against the team that you root for. There's no place for it in the world, and there's definitely no place for it in sports. I can't stand when people use sports as that vessel to say, oh, I can treat you this way because you're a fan of another team or you play for the other team. It's just ridiculous. You wouldn't do it in the real world. Toughen up, be a good person, and just
don't do it.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to go on this huge rant here, but it's just ridiculous. And don't use sports to hide behind your weakness. That's what I would say, like, for the huge thing. It's like, you're not tough, okay? So stop.
The one other thing I'll add on this, by hearing that soundbite, some people might say, oh, you hear the phrase a key no, and maybe that sounds racially insensitive. But to my knowledge, the signage and the theme is going to be a key no, here no, the English interpretation of the Hispanic or Espanol, a key no. So it's being thrown out there in both languages. It's just that this homophobic slur has its roots in the Mexican national team, and I think that's why they're including, in a lot of ways, both the audience south of the border and the Latino audience here north of the border in San Diego. So I think the key is stay classy, San Diego.
Yeah. Wonderful clarification, by the way, there, John. Let's go ahead and move on from the other football and go to the other football, the NFL, the National Football League. What a wild free agency this was. I mean, Monday, the legal tampering day came around, and it was like every big name flew off the board. It felt
I love
like
how legal tampering.
Yeah, legal tampering. By the time Wednesday, the true free agency period opened up, it felt like we knew where everybody was going. There have been big trades. We've seen Geno Smith get traded. We've seen DK Metcalf get traded. There have been big names landing in spots. We saw Sam Darnold taking over for Geno Smith in Seattle. Justin Fields on the move. Lots and lots of free agent moves. The ones that stood out to you two immediately, what did you guys think about it?
Well, the one that stands out to me is what the Chargers are not doing.
Najee Harris isn't doing it for you?
Yeah. They brought back Mike Williams.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, why'd you let him go in the first place? If he was that great, they didn't bring in Devontae Adams. I kind of wanted to see Cooper Kupp, who was released by the Rams,
still out there,
go across town to the Chargers. And yeah, he's still out there, so possibly that could happen. I know Cooper Kupp wants to stay in L.A., so he could stay in L.A. if he ends up with the Chargers. And then the other thing is Aaron Rodgers. Holy mackerel. That did not work very well for the Jets the last 2 years. It'll be very intriguing to see who he signs with and how he does next season.
Yeah, Chargers, no wide receiver, major wide receiver addition is kind of a head scratcher since that was such a big topic of discussion last season. Still time to address that. Devontae Adams losing out on him kind of felt like a head scratcher to me, especially because it kind of sounded like Devontae Adams wanted to go play for the Los Angeles Chargers, and so that one was a little odd. The big one for me is Sam Darnold to the Seattle Seahawks. Holy overpay, probably. And, the thing is, Geno Smith did such a great job with the Seattle Seahawks offensive line and just how porous they were and how bad they were, honestly speaking. The analytics show that if you look at Geno Smith, he wasn't responsible for most of the sacks and hits he took. It was really that offensive line. Sam Darnold, not as mobile of a quarterback. I'd be interested to see if he's going to be able to stand up straight in that pocket most of the time. Coming off a great year, but it's really the only year that we've seen him play well in the National Football League. What's going to happen there? I'm very interested to see. Seattle got a third-round pick after trading Geno Smith away. What they're able to do and really bulker up their offensive line and maybe, other positions that kind of help out. But who's Sam Darnold going to throw the ball to as well? When you let go of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, that adds some questions. Obviously, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba still there. But It'll be interesting. I think that one was I don't want to say it was a head scratcher. Obviously, Sam Darnold was coming off a season which, he was in the MVP conversation, but one off season, hard to say. We'll see what goes forward, but Seahawks putting the bank on Sam Darnold, leading them to success.
Yeah, you do wonder what kind of upgrade, if you even want to call it, Sam Darnold is. I don't really see it as an upgrade at the quarterback position, but you do get a lot younger, and somebody you think you could develop a little bit maybe in Sam Darnold, who maybe he did have that breakthrough. He's obviously in a wonderful system with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. How much was the system? How much was Sam somehow X amount of years into his NFL career figuring it all out? I tend to believe it's probably more system than Sam, but we will find out in Seattle because he got over $100 million to go play for the Seahawks. The one I'm also interested in seeing is how, if Justin Fields wins the starting job with the Jets, like how does he do there? Not big shoes to fill. I mean, like you mentioned, John, Aaron Rodgers didn't really do much there, so the Jets are probably playing with a little bit of house money, bringing in Justin Fields. Some still big names out there. Russell Wilson has not signed. Aaron, as you mentioned. So a couple names. Cooper Kupp. I mean, the Chargers could be a great fit if that works out for them because they do need receiver help. The one I really like, two really that go under the radar for me, is the trade from the Commanders for Laramie Tunsil. I mean, what a move for them to bring in a huge tackle to help protect Jaden Daniels and really get that team that was that close a year ago.
They got Deebo Samuel, too.
Yep, they got Deebo, too. They were that close a year ago. Now they're just one step closer. I thought that was a wonderful move. And then I like Josh Sweat going to Arizona. I think the Cardinals are very much swept under the rug a lot because they're a mediocre team, but that could be a big signing. So was a wild free agency to get going, by the way, because we talked about it either a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Joey Bosa, one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. He did not go to San Francisco, like many predicted, to see if he would play with his brother. Buffalo Bills for Joey Bosa. And Najee Harris, 4,000 yards in his first 4 years as a rusher, going to the L.A. Chargers. So they put I don't know. He gets like 3 yards a carry behind one of the
He's fun.
the sketchier lines in all of the NFL. Any final thoughts on NFL free agency, you two, or are you ready to move on?
Well, now that you play 17 games a season, getting 4,000 yards in four seasons is a piece of cake. Back in my day.
You had to do it in 8 games in a cloud of dust.
That's right.
All right, let's finally end on baseball. We do have some exciting news for you, if you will. I went out to spring training just a couple of weeks ago with photographer Jordan Ray, and we were out there for 3 days and collected just unbelievable amounts of content. And here's a little sizzle reel of what we have for you.
Beautiful day. Looks like first day of school.
Coming back hungry.
We know who we are now.
Feels great, man.
Yeah, really excited.
We're here to win the first World Series championship in franchise history.
Do you guys hear that noise? And if so, do you guys care at all?
Whoever we got in the locker room, we're ready to go with, ready to go to war with. If you're on our team, you're a brother.
Do you envision yourself pitching at all?
Rob Jicuriani from CBS in San Diego. John Seidler was named the control person of the Padres and amidst a bunch of lawsuits.
In terms of keeping the Padres on track. Get it, girl.
Is now a good or a bad time to tell you I'm 30 years old? So many people have heard your name at the top of the prospect list for this organization over and over and over again.
I think we come in every year with the same thought, the same mindset, us as players. I think everyone.
There's one goal in mind, win a championship.
We're definitely ready. I'm here to play baseball and then try to win the World Series.
And then that's to win a World Series. Hey, we got a World Series caliber team.
First World Series championship in franchise history.
Do your best to shock the world.
No, it's awesome.
So as you saw there, we pretty much talked to every star player, all the new players. We talked to the front office executives. We talked to broadcasters and Mark Grant. Really broke it all down. And if you want to watch the entire 34-minute special, it is available right now for free to stream where you're watching us right now on CBS 8+. You can download it on your TV, Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and take in all the Padres you could possibly want. I promise there is enough in there. We talk about the fifth spot in the rotation, the lawsuits from Shiel Seidler. I mean, we really don't leave too many stones unturned. One of my favorite pieces right at the end of it, we talked to the top 2 prospects in the entire Padres organization, Leo Dallas, Dave Rees, and Ethan Salas. So a little glimpse into the future as well. But exciting, guys. Baseball is officially here, and now you have a 34-minute special to soak in for it.
Well, and I know that you worked your tail off, not only gathering it, but Jake has been huddled in his closet editing like a madman for the last 2, 3, 4 days. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that piece.
Yeah, it should be a lot of good stuff in there, and obviously a lot of excitement for the season. And Jake breaks it down all for you as we're just a couple of weeks away from opening day.
You guys are very kind.
I appreciate the smartest sports person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the least I could do.
It's the least I could do. Well, that is available on CBS 8 Plus right now, as I mentioned, and we are available every week on CBS 8 Plus. You can come back right here next week with us on the final quarter on CBS 8 Plus. Again, Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV. Thank you as always for joining us. And as always, you two, send us off.
Bye.
We're out.